reinforcing white supremacy. But African Americans would find ways to combat this onslaught of racist imagery.
Frederick Douglass is a master at understanding the media revolution, and specifically photography. He thought that photography was a way to reclaim your image.
Photography came to this country in 1839, 1840. It was really popular as soon as it arrived here from Paris, the daguerreotype specifically. And black photographers and white photographers opened up studios, so it became the medium of choice because it was accessible for people.
As Frederick Douglass said, with Daguerre's invention, for the first time ever, the poorest servant girl or slave could now have a portrait of herself that surpassed in detail and thus in beauty what the most powerful king or queen could have had 10 years ago.
Photography opened the doors for a number of family stories.
In 1900, a World's Fair opened in Paris. A 32-year-old college professor named William Edward Burckhardt Du Bois had been
The social life of black people.
Du Bois automatically recognizes that photography needs to be playing a prominent role in recasting how African Americans are perceived on this global stage.
He put together a remarkable exhibit using photographic representation to demonstrate the progress of the race, but also the beauty of the race, depicting children, men and women in their finest dress, demonstrating that African Americans were dignified, respectable human beings.
There's an image of 4 women on campus of Atlanta University. They're posing. It's a sense of pleasure that I see in the way that they're posing. We see women who are seeing themselves as the new women for the new century. And they understood their sense of empowerment. The exhibition included Civil War soldiers who received the Medal of Honor. So there's so many stories that change the negative narrative through photography.
The Paris Exposition was just the beginning for W.E.B. Du Bois. 5 years earlier, Du Bois became the first black person to earn a PhD from Harvard. He was bold, brilliant, and deeply concerned about the increasingly desperate plight of his people.
He comes from Great Barrington, Massachusetts. He's this incredibly gifted intellectual. He was obviously an imperfect man, was a sexist as was commonplace in that period, was an elitist, but he's certainly one of the founders of Black Studies as a field.
Bois is the lion in the path of everybody who thinks about these questions. He's a singular figure. He writes that in his journal at age 25, that he's going to try to defeat white supremacy.
Du Bois has been one of my heroes since I first read his masterpiece, The Souls of Black Folk, when I was 19 years old. He's been a guiding light for me and for other black scholars. Cornell, at what age were you first exposed to W.E.B. Du Bois?
Well, let me think. I must have been about 16 years old, reading Kierkegaard, a little bit of Karl Marx, and lo and behold, there was W.B. Du Bois' Souls of Black Folk.
What were your impressions? What was it like when you read The Souls of Black Folk?
Well, I was too young to fully appreciate his genius, but it was clear that his highfalutin language was something I had to wrestle with. It was clear that the subtlety of his mind, the nuanced formulations that he put forward had something to do with what it meant to be a human being in black skin in a white supremacist civilization like the United States.
He did. Du Bois famously said, "One ever feels his two-ness, an American, a Negro, 2 warring ideals in one dark body." And we call it the metaphor of double consciousness. Tell me about the metaphor of double consciousness. How important was it? How original was